Imagine this. You're in a meeting, raising your hand to share an idea, but no one calls on you. Or in a group chat, everyone is chatting and laughing, and your messages go unanswered. That gnawing sensation creeps in. Why am I being ignored? It's uncomfortable, frustrating, even painful. But this feeling isn't just social awkwardness. Your brain is wired to notice exclusion, and neuroscience confirms it's a very real form of social pain. The neuroscience of social pain research shows that the anterior cingulate cortex, ACC, a brain region associated with physical pain, is activated when people experience social exclusion. A 2003 study by Eisenberger et al. Found that participants excluded from a virtual ball toss game had heightened ACC activity, identical to when experiencing physical pain. The insula, another brain region, processes discomfort and threat, and it also responds to social rejection. This explains why being ignored can feel as real and intense as being physically hurt. Evolutionarily, exclusion from the group could threaten survival, so our brains treat it as a danger signal. Evolutionary perspective. Why we react this way: humans are inherently social. Anthropologists argue that early humans relied on group cooperation. For food, safety, and reproduction, exclusion from the tribe could reduce survival odds. Neuroscience shows our brains retain this mechanism, interpreting minor social slights as potential threats. Even subtle signals, like someone glancing past you or ignoring a text, can trigger the amygdala, heightening emotional alertness and vigilance. This is why you might replay social interactions repeatedly, analyzing every word or gesture. The reward system and dopamine social engagement activates the brain's reward system, especially dopamine pathways in the ventral striatum. When others respond positively, smiles, nods, compliments, dopamine reinforces social behavior. Conversely, being ignored creates a reward deficit, making your brain crave acknowledgement. Studies in social neuroscience suggest that this can lead to obsessive checking behaviors, like rereading messages or replaying social interactions in your head. The brain is essentially seeking social fuel. Cognitive biases that magnify the feeling. Our perception of being ignored is often intensified by cognitive biases. Personalization. Believing exclusion is personally directed. They must think I'm unimportant. Confirmation. Bias. Noticing patterns that reinforce your belief. This always happens to me. Negativity. Bias. Negative experiences stick more in memory than neutral or positive ones. Psychologists note that these biases can create a feedback loop, amplifying social pain even in minor or accidental situations. Subtle social cues and mirror neurons. Your brain relies on mirror neurons to interpret others' intentions. Ambiguous cues, a distracted glance, crossed arms, or delayed responses, can be misread as rejection. The default response is caution. Evolutionarily, assuming exclusion was safer than ignoring a real threat. Social neuroscientist Kipling Williams' research on ostracism confirms that even brief social snubs trigger measurable stress responses, including increased cortisol levels. This illustrates the physiological impact of being ignored. Behavioral implications. Feeling ignored can lead to withdrawal, avoiding conversations or social settings. Overcompensation. Speaking louder, seeking attention excessively, or over-explaining. Hyper-awareness. Scanning for signs of inclusion or exclusion, increasing anxiety. Repeated experiences can reinforce social anxiety as the brain begins to anticipate exclusion, activating the amygdala prefrontal circuitry in a cycle of heightened vigilance and worry. Real-life examples. Backed by research, consider Sarah, a young professional whose ideas are often overlooked in meetings. She ruminates for hours, replaying minor social interactions. Studies in cognitive neuroscience suggest that her ACC and insula are repeatedly activating, producing genuine social pain, or James, whose friends often miss his messages. He interprets this as intentional neglect, but research on social cognition shows most perceived slights are accidental. Your brain fills in gaps with negative assumptions. Awareness of these mechanisms can reduce unnecessary emotional stress. Why awareness helps labeling your experience. I feel ignored, but it may not be personal. Activates the prefrontal cortex, improving rational evaluation of social cues. Mindfulness, journaling, and cognitive reframing strengthen this prefrontal regulation, mitigating overactivation of the ACC and amygdala. A 2016 study in Frontiers in Psychology showed that mindfulness training reduced the intensity of perceived social exclusion and improved emotional resilience. Counterintuitive insights aggressively seeking attention can worsen perceived exclusion, known as social push-pull. The brain interprets visible craving for validation as a potential threat, paradoxically increasing subtle rejection signals from others. Building meaningful relationships in low-pressure environments buffers the brain's alarm system, preventing repeated ACC activation. This highlights the importance of social resilience and diversified support networks. Practical strategies based on research identify triggers, recognize patterns of perceived exclusion, pause and contextualize, ask, could this be accidental? Engage subtly, offer contributions without overcompensating. Build resilience, cultivate supportive relationships to buffer stress responses. Cognitive reframing, use evidence-based strategies to reinterpret ambiguous social signals. Reflections, feeling ignored is a natural human response. It's not a personal flaw, it's an adaptive mechanism shaped by evolution. Understanding the neuroscience and psychological research helps contextualize the experience, reduce rumination, and strengthen emotional regulation. Closing thought next. Time you feel overlooked. Remember, your brain is doing its job, alerting you to potential social risk. With awareness, reflection, and subtle engagement, you can manage these moments calmly, navigate social interactions more effectively, and reinforce resilience, turning perceived social pain into insight.